Kara here from The Kara Golden Show. If you're not using Ironclad for contracts, you could be leaving millions on the table. Ironclad's AI instantly surfaces what matters: renewal dates, pricing terms, and obligations, so you can act quickly before opportunities slip away. That's why they're trusted by great brands like OpenAI, L'Oreal, Salesforce, and so many others. Find the savings hiding in your contracts at ironcladapp.com/podcast. That's ironcladapp.com/podcast.
Welcome. If you're a woman who has a sense that there's more out there for you, you're in the right place. I'm Whitney Baker, host of the Electric Ideas podcast. Somewhere along the line of work and kids, life carried on, but I lost track of my truth. I'm on a reflective journey, and that's what this podcast is all about. Each week, I interview a woman who is lighting her own path and offering others hope. Before our conversation ends, we'll share a reflective question for you to explore. Sometimes all we need is a jolt, a fresh idea, an aha moment that connects us to a sense of possibility. This, my friends, is what I call an electric idea. Welcome back to Electric Ideas. I'm your host, Whitney Baker, and this is a mini jolt, a short solo episode where I share insights and tools to help you feel more self-connected and inspired right in the messy middle of motherhood. Most of the women I work with want to be present in their lives and present with their people. I know you guys can relate to this. We sometimes operate with attention spans as moms that feel hijacked. We're pulled a million directions by a bevy of demands across work, across home, across kids, across life. And I truly think modern moms are in a unique position because this sense of fragmentation and inability to really just drop in an uninterrupted way is amplified by the digital culture that we're in that makes lots of women feel like they're supposed to respond to every ding within 10 seconds. It's really easy for moms when they feel like they have a gazillion things going on to flip into autopilot mode. We find ourselves chowing down a rejected waffle in the kitchen or firing off a text in kind of a knee-jerk, like, oh, what now, reactive way, and then being a little disappointed about it. I just want you to know that research backs up why you're feeling this way. Moms are asked to make thousands of micro decisions every day. And over time, that constant cognitive load doesn't just make us feel tired and weary and like we want to just shut it all down. It actually fragments our attention and stands in the way of our ability to be present, regardless if whatever is happening is something we want to savor or something that might feel easier in the moment to escape or avoid. And this environment that many moms are operating in is why I feel called to talk about mindfulness practices today. Mindfulness practices can support women in many ways. I love integrating mindfulness practices into my work with moms because so much of modern life pulls us away from ourselves, sometimes without us even noticing. And mindfulness practices can be woven into our day-to-day life without feeling like we're adding a huge additional to-do, and really help us practice be more anchored and aware and intentional about what is transpiring day to day. So before we get into these practices, I'm just wondering if anyone else had a little bit of a noticing on New Year's Eve. For those of you in the US, I don't know if any of you watched the CNN New Year's Eve live broadcast. The whole kind of countdown to the ball drop with Anderson Cooper was happening. I personally was with my family and some close friends having a little dance party. So I missed it live, but I read about a few things later that made me want to go back and watch some of the clips. And first, this is a teeny tiny detour, but with so much pain and uncertainty happening across the US and the globe right now, I want to acknowledge that I found it heartening that Anderson Cooper briefly spoke about grief in an honest way. It really positively struck me that he brought up grief at a time when people were gathering and sipping champagne and laughing and ringing in the new year, because I think it's a reminder for us all that we can still claim joy and be in community and find reasons to have smiles on our face while still witnessing the parts of ourselves and the collective that are hurting. But separately, back to mindfulness, in a different segment, Anderson Cooper referenced John Kabat-Zinn's famous book, Wherever You Go, There You Are. I'm so glad that mindfulness and meditation are being touted on such mainstream stages and that they're getting more cultural attention. But I think especially for busy moms who don't always have time to fully investigate things for themselves, both meditation and mindfulness can feel a little bit abstract or inaccessible. So I'm going to try to clarify that today because people do get caught up in terms. And when we don't understand something clearly, it's hard to claim it as a practice for ourselves. So I'd like to distinguish the difference between meditation and mindfulness, at least how it applies in my own life. And then I'm going to share a couple mindfulness practices that you can try right away without any big barriers to learning or need to carve out tons of time. For me, based on years and years of personal practice and the teachings I received when I became a certified meditation teacher many years ago, I distinguish meditation as a formal practice. It's usually still. For me, it's seated with my eyes closed for a set amount of time. And this formal meditation practice supports my life in many ways. It helps me reset my emotional baseline. It feels like I reach a place of connection to something bigger than who I am beneath the roles I play and the demands of everyday life. Mindfulness practices are, on the other hand, more what happens when I open my eyes. Mindfulness practices can be woven into almost every facet of your life. Everything from how you eat your oatmeal to how you communicate to your partner that you are feeling overwhelmed and need help, or how you listen to your child describe why so-and-so is the most annoying boy in the land, or how you peel carrots for dinner. So this is a little simplistic, but one easy way to distinguish this is meditation is what happens on the cushion. The cushion can be wherever you have a formal practice. Mindfulness is what happens everywhere else, as much as you choose to remain mindful in your day-to-day life. All right, there's one more layer I want to explain, and I'm just going to set an intention that this clears something up for you guys versus adding to any confusion. Most of you have probably at some point in your life tried a yoga class. And when you think about yoga, there's many different ways to practice yoga. There's different approaches and there's different styles. Something that people who are new to meditation or new to mindfulness may not fully register is that meditation is the same way in that there are different styles and approaches that you can explore in order to find something that resonates with you and deeply supports you. One type of meditation is mindfulness meditation. So an example of a mindfulness meditation might be a body scan, for example, where you bring curious, non-judgmental awareness to sensations in your body. This is distinct from perhaps a mantra meditation that might involve flowing your attention to a single phrase or mantra. So in theory, you could practice mindfulness meditation on the cushion and then practice mindfulness in real life, or you could practice whatever kind of meditation you wanted to and still apply the tools of mindfulness in your day-to-day life. And even if your life right now as mom doesn't afford you space to have a formal meditation practice, you can still access mindfulness tools. So what even is mindfulness at its core? John Kabat-Zinn, who Anderson Cooper referenced, has had a simple definition of mindfulness that stood the test of time for decades. So let's explore that briefly. John Kabat-Zinn defines mindfulness as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So let's briefly break that down piece by piece. So paying attention is the foundation. Mindfulness starts with noticing what's happening in our body, in our minds, in our emotions. We can't be paying attention to a feeling of tightness and compression in our chest if we are thinking about what needs to get done before the kids get home from school or responding to the basketball carpool text chain. The second piece of this is paying attention in a particular way. We aren't paying attention with self-criticism or overthinking. We're paying attention in a very curious, open, receptive way. We're just noticing the truth of what is and not trying to fix or deny anything about it. The third part is on purpose. This just means we're being really intentional with where we are placing our awareness. So, in this world that I've described, where it feels some days like anyone can just decide they want to pick at a mother's attention, we sometimes get to practice these check ins in moments to purposely be attuned to what is happening right now. And if you decide to engage with mindfulness in any way, it's a great opportunity for you to practice becoming aware of this. In mindfulness practices, we are just becoming aware of what's happening. We're paying attention. So, for example, I am aware I am breathing rather shallowly versus I'm aware that I have a rather clenched jaw. And I bet I have a clenched jaw because so and so has been really irritating at work. Or, oh, I wouldn't have this clenched jaw if I had been doing a better job of getting up and doing my stretching routine before I start the day. Whatever it is, it's just noticing non-judgmentally without layering on any stories, especially of shame or self-criticism. Okay, so let's move into a couple quick practices that are very accessible that you can try straight away. So for this first one, you could either put a 5-minute block somewhere on your calendar, or if you don't have super structured days, depending on what's happening in your life, you could set an alarm to go off at a certain time. Let's say 90 minutes after you have breakfast, or whenever you feel like there's a point in your day where you kind of maybe lose your energy, lose your focus, lose track of time with mindless scrolling, anything like that. This will be a time where you decide you're going to consciously practice mindfulness and check in with yourself. So, one thing you can try is the 3-question pause. So, perhaps you can sit down somewhere comfortable, place your feet on the floor, blink your eyes closed gently, place your hand on your heart to help anchor to your body, and just give yourself a chance to take a couple nice deep breaths. And from this place of intentional, in the moment awareness, ask yourself, what is happening right now? What am I noticing in my body? You might notice the pace of your breath is nice and deep or shallow. You might notice ease in your belly or constriction in your throat. Just notice. And then the third question is, what am I noticing in my body? What am I aware of emotionally? I love getting inspired by ancient wisdom and giving them my own personal electric ideas twist. So I would say for busy moms, I would let that be your mindfulness practice as a separate, actionable, self-tending moment where maybe you do a quick stretch or you do get a quick glass of water or a snack. These small check-in moments practiced over time can truly begin to shift the texture of your day. I know lots of us have real constraints. We got to get dinner on the table. The kids have places to be. The laundry's piling up. For me, these practices don't always change the circumstances of my day, but rather they begin to allow me to relate to what's happening in more of an intentional way. All right, here's one more mindfulness practice that my clients love, and it just helps us appreciate the present moment and maybe clear out a little bit of the day and help us reset. So this is called a senses walk. So go on a short walk, go ahead and leave the earbuds and even the cell phone, if possible, behind, and start your walk. And about every 30 seconds, just flip to paying attention mindfully in the present moment to one of your 5 senses. I actually practiced this one myself this week, and I was so glad because it just felt beautiful to be outside, even though it's cold right now where I live in Chicago. but I noticed the bright blue sky. I noticed the crunching noise of the snow. I smelled a fire burning somewhere, and it definitely positively shifted my energy. So those practices are supposed to be so simple because I truly try to share things that are realistic and accessible for moms to weave into their busy days. All right, I really hope you can try one of those exercises. If you do and you enjoy it or you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. You can connect with me on Instagram at @WhitneyWoman. I always end my episodes with a chance for reflection. And today I invite yourself to ask yourself, where in my days can I build in intentional pauses? And if you're curious about meditation and you'd like a gentle structure to lean into so you can just do it and you don't have to figure it out for yourself every day, a great place to start is my $37 5 Days to Less Stress, More Satisfaction program. It's 5 days of different, very carefully curated themes, and each day has a guided meditation, a soulful journaling prompt, and then what is supposed to be a fun, self-inspired action. And the good news is it's 5 days worth of material, but the meditations are yours forever. This program was designed just for you if you're a busy mom looking for a simple place to begin reconnecting with your inner world and reclaim your attention and get a little bit more intentional in 2026 about what you're calling into your days. You can find a link to purchase 5 Days to Less Stress, More Satisfaction in my bio. If you have any questions, again, message me on Instagram at @WhitneyWoman. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad you joined me today. If you're looking for more, feel free to connect with me on Instagram at @WhitneyWoman. And if you enjoyed the show, I invite you to support me by leaving a review or sharing it with a friend. Hope you have an inspired day.